Welcome, everyone, to the Everything Show, episode 2298. We're almost at a little milestone there. I am your host, Matrix Lord 212, and I'm with Scott. What's up, Scott?
Hello, all.
All right, so as you know, I passed my milestone. I got my 10,000 platinum. I did what I set out to do with that. And yes, I do plan on still to continue gaming, but I've been getting bored. You know that. Like I passed a milestone, but it's time to do something else that like you need to change every now and then. I'm getting bored. I've been getting a lot of platinums, and then I've been getting them at record time to where every damn week or two is a milestone. I mean, now it's gotten to be. I was narrowing it down to getting 100 platinums in a month. 2 weeks or 3 weeks, then to 2 weeks. Now it's like a week. Now I'm just like, and I'm getting like real bored. I mean, I do plan on continuing gaming. Still fifth in America, but I need something else.
You're getting bored. It's you've got the gaming going on, and you'll always have the gaming going on. You just need a distraction from that so you can get yourself back into the motivation for the gaming.
Right, and another thing too is Doctor Who's not on air. Like our main thing, the Real Who
Yeah,
Readers cast, we can't talk about it. Right, the Everything Show. What's up, Hubert? The Everything Show. Yes, we started doing that again, but I need to do what I love doing, and what
yeah,
have I not done? You and I talked about this um, for months. Like you even motivated me to, because I was going to stop a lot of things, and you
yeah,
kind of got me out of a depression there, and just, when I said to you I wanted to do another book, but that's a lot of money. The money's not there, and you're like, when did that ever stop you? Which
yeah,
is true, So now I'm like just looking at pictures and everything. I'm like, you know what? I think it's time. I think it's time. I have like six manuscripts sitting collecting dust, right? I just have to tweak it, but I need to do a new book. And when I'm doing a new book is when I'm at my happiest point,
yeah.
because doing that creative process is what motivates me to accomplish other things, you know. And like you said, if I finish the book, then it's going to be me doing whatever, pulling miracles to get this thing published.
Yeah,
And again,
because you got that whole notion. You feel like you're being pulled in three different directions, and you don't know which way to go.
but
So
that I know the way I work, and you know the way I
yeah,
work. If I'm that excited that I finished a book, then it's like I must get it published.
hmm,
And if there is no, like with me, I'm stubborn. There is no, you can't. I don't believe in that. Like I will work to get
hmm,
it, make the impossible possible. Like
yeah,
I will like push myself to limits beyond my limits to get it out, to complete the dream, to complete the project. And this is what I need to do. And I was thinking, well, what am I going to go with? Because I have six books from different series.
yeah,
But I think the one that I'm going to go ahead with, I put it on Facebook, but I didn't put it for public because I didn't really, wasn't sure if I wanted it to be public. Um, but it's going to be quite different than anything I've ever done, but yet it's related to the series.
yeah.
But it's totally in the past, So we got the time travel aspect, we got the religion aspect with the angels and God not wanting time travel.
Yeah.
We have monsters, which is different. You're talking like the late 70s, around the time with like this period where a lot of scary things going on,
Hmm.
you know. opening up your mind to, like, I mean, you got religion, so like you have the angel aspect. Now you need to have the opposite of that. Like, what the hell is going on? Like, yes, all my books have been about like the good, the good, the good, but it has never shown
The
the
evil.
opposite
Yeah.
of, we have the angel that's trying to protect him and bless him, but now we have that there's the opposite that is trying to stop him, coupled with the time traveler. So like, and I'm gonna throw in the mafia too. So that's just gonna be a goddamn wild
Yeah.
roller coaster ride, unlike there's ever been before. Like, it's gonna be like it's it's gonna be related, but it's gonna be like it's standalone almost. Like
Yeah.
it probably be a brand new series connected to the characters, but we'll just go in because I'm introducing that new element.
Hmm.
It's going to introduce a whole new part of the Sorrow Separation / Tomorrow Song series that we have not explored before. And it's all about, of course, in the future, this guy, is the hero and he's the loved one, the man of everything. He has everything he needs. He doesn't need anything. He has everything he needs. And the time traveler is jealous of that, and shit happens, and then the time traveler goes in the past to wreck his life. And he becomes the man of nothing because of it. But he can never get knocked down completely. He always bounces back. And you could buy my books on Amazon. And you could go on Barnes and Noble. So, we had that God had stepped in and said, you know what, as much as I like to let people do what they want on the earth, and they have invented time travel, and they're gonna undo what I want done.
Yeah.
Like the past should not be changed. That's like my vision. So he has his guardian angel protect him and sometimes get directly involved. And we have like two time travelers that are in the past. We have, the guy that goes by the nickname the Shadow because he's always in the shadows. And we have Slayer, which is the assassin. So she wants to kill him, and the other guy wants to like make him suffer.
Yeah.
So, the angel has to step in because sometimes, they conflict, and the assassin wants to kill him flat out before the guy's done with him. Like he really wants to like screw him over so bad that when he's done, then she can come in and just kill him. He made him suffer, and that's it.
Yeah.
But sometimes she gets antsy and she just, she doesn't want to wait, and it's like then you need outside forces. So if this guy's meant to grow up, this guy is meant to be that hero in the future that saves the world, and then when the world is so devastated with the evil, he not only saves the world but rules the world because like everything that existed before is not around. Like there is no states, there is no, it's just a world united by him, and it's just that's it. So it's that needs to happen still. So that's the point, is that now we're gonna go way back where the time traveler is gonna do the unthinkable. He's gonna go to a time where the guy's a child. And it's just gonna be where, what could the kid do? He's 4 years old. Like, I mean, come on now. It's the introduction to religion to him. It's the introduction to all these things from his parents, his family. It's this, it's that. There's a lot of things that could shape him, and the object of the time traveler, the main nemesis, is that at this point in time, that's the most important time that a person becomes who they truly are, is when they're introduced to all these things, right? At the age of 4 is when they're starting to think for themselves. They're just starting to make choices. before your parents, like, now you have choices. Oh, I want to eat this, or I want this, I want that. You like develop a consciousness. You develop the sense of right and wrong. Religion comes into your picture. You start school in kindergarten, like 4 or 5, right? So like, you know, um, that's the whole point. Is that wait, who's this? I don't know what that is, but this has been in my series. I have always teased this book since 2010. Okay, so this has been around, this concept, this story. In fact, I think on in my book I put the title of it in the back
Uh-huh.
of the book just to show that that's what I plan to do. Um, so I've always had the time travel aspect in the books. I've had the angel in the books. Now we're gonna have monsters and mafia, because in the '70s it's
Yeah.
a time of mafia, really.
Yep.
I mean, in case you didn't know, I mean that's kind of what it was, really. So, we're gonna have to deal with that. So, and it's just gonna be a wild, wild ride where all these different forces come together, and it's like, well, whose side is what on? Because you think but you don't. You don't know.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know what this guy's saying.
It's looking like spam.
I mean, I don't know, but I don't know what this person's saying. I kind of don't want the chat to get messed up here, but let me just see. Um, so I had put this way back in 2010. I had planned this book, always revisiting the '70s, the late
Yeah.
'70s, to the character. This was always going to be a thing where the time traveler got frustrated that he couldn't completely destroy the guy, and then he goes back to this moment. And I think back to my youth, and what I did in the late '70s, and all the things that were around that we grew up on, all the culture, all this stuff. I used to have
Mhm.
like that. I used to have like my big wheels. Like it used to be
Mhm.
a big. I think it was like 3. It was
Yeah, it
like
was
the
a
big wheel.
three-wheeler,
It was
and
the
the
bit
and
in
the
the
front
back.
one
There
was
was
the
the big
biggest one.
ones. Right. There was a big 2 big wheels in the back, and then a skinny one in the front. But it
Yep.
was like a big. It was like a yellow, and it was a yellow thing. Was it a
Yeah.
trike? I guess it was a
Yeah, it
trike
was a trike, basically.
with blue wheels, like big ass blue wheels. And I
Mhm.
remember growing up that my grandmother, like, and my grandfather, they bought me all these vehicles. Like they really spoiled the shit out of me. They bought me all these things when I was a kid. I had a fire truck that I rode around in around the backyard. I had the big blue wheels. I had the other thing that made you go really, really fast. Remember that? Like you just pushed with the pedals, and it was the
Yeah.
thin wheels, and you could race down the friggin' block. Like it was just like ridiculous, like ridiculously fast. Remember that?
Yep.
That was just like the best thing ever. And I remember, then afterwards, like with the '80s, we started getting bikes with the training wheels, then get off the training wheels, learning how to ride a bike, right? And I used to ride my bike. That was basically what they adapted Stranger Things, like the kids on the
Mhm.
bikes from the '80s. That's what like I did. My friends did. We were all on bikes. We used to ride our bikes to each other's house. You know, I used to take my bike. I used to go to my friend's house. We used to play video games. You know, we rode bikes. That's what we did in the '80s. But in the '70s, we were young, like really young kids. So and we had the big wheels and stuff like that.
Yep.
And then all the horror movies that came out. You know, around the late 70s, early 80s, like Omen and Exorcist and all this, you know, it's around that time where horror started to begin, right? The late 70s, early 80s, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Michael Myers, Halloween, everything started. So I sort of want to capture like my youth in a sense growing up, but not me directly because these are fictional characters, but using my experience and throwing the characters into that time period that I'm familiar with. I really kind of want to go wild with that. So that's what I want to do. And again, it was like one of the greatest times to me growing up in that time period, you know, and when I was a kid, I think we talked about it, right? Like the first three movies I ever saw, right, was a Godzilla film, right? It was Mary Poppins and it was Star Wars, like the first one, right?
Yeah.
I think I was 3 though when I saw Star Wars, right? But I sort of like, you know, I'm 3, so I didn't know what the hell, you know, but I became a Star Wars fan, but I really didn't know what the hell was going on until I was like 3, you know. But Empire Strikes Back, like that was a big thing to me, and Return of the Jedi, like later on, like years later. But you know, Doctor Who came into my life in right before, like I think it was in kindergarten. It might have been like what 1979, I think, something like that.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't become a fan of Doctor Who till around '83.
I think it was 79. I think so. Like I have to think. I'm pretty sure it was 1979, but yeah, like all this stuff came into my life and shaped me. You know, I wanted to, you know, from watching Doctor Who, I wanted to be I wanted to write a book. Like that all formulated in my brain. I wanted to do that. I wanted to write a book at one point. I wanted to, you know, and you know, video games influenced me. Like, you know, culture influenced me. You know, and shaped me to what as time went on. Now that I look back, I'm like, oh, I was a writer before I was a writer. Like I'm the one that, you know, wanted to write to my President Ronald Reagan. You know, that was a time when we like saving the whales, and you know, that was important to me because I liked my favorite pet was tropical fish, and I was into that. I was into fish. I was into like, you know, sharks and all kinds of stuff and marine life, right? So, like, it was important to me, like, you know, and I was hearing about stuff that I wanted to save the whales and save animals and being extinct, and then also Star Trek for the Voyage Home. That was a thing, you know. Mm-hmm. So, like, I wrote a letter, and then I wrote to Marvel Comics about Spider-Man, and Todd McFarlane put me in his last issue, my name, and then I wrote to Back to the Future magazine. Like, I wrote an article, they posted it on the main letters page, like the theory of Marty McFly 2. And I didn't really realize it, but I was just doing it like naturally, like, and like still not seeing myself as a writer until like way, you know. And then I even was not a poet. But I wrote a poem in my graduation like yearbook, you know. And then you know, I wanted to do my sci-fi novel, but I wound up doing poetry / fiction, right? Which I leaked my sci-fi characters into these books, and then the books evolved out of like more of like fiction and action than poetry, but it's still poetry. So it's like poetry / fiction, you know. But mostly when I started it, it was poems, but related to like different things, stuff from my heart, stuff from, you know, some stuff. So, and the series was split in 2, where Tomorrow's Song was like 10 years later for the character, you know. So, you know, it started developing a story. I think it was around book 5 into 6 because book 6 was the main character, the villain. It was like the Shadow's reign basically. So, that was the whole point. And I called him the Shadow because, he was always in the shadows. It wasn't like that was just a common sense. I mean, I also like the name Shadow from Pac-Man because Pac-Man, one of the ghosts, was Shadow. Right? So in case you want a history lesson, with me, the number 26 comes from the highest score you can get on the first level of Pac-Man, 2600. And it also comes from Atari 2600.
Yeah.
And so I'm always saying 26, 26, 26, because 26 was always the number that was around during my childhood. And Shadow was named after the ghost monster from Pac-Man. So I call him the Shadow, but that's not his real, that's like a nickname, right? But that's not his real name, like the villain. And you don't know that until the Sci-Fi series, what his name is. But all these things just was in my life, and I just explaining stuff now, I guess. And it's funny, I growing up, like, you remember how different restaurants were when we were younger, like in the 70s and 80s?
Yeah.
And I was talking to my kids this too, and I said, there were hot dog like trucks and stands, and in New York City, we had a hot dog stand on every damn corner in existence, right? Literally in New York, right? Yeah. Not today, it's different, but in Staten Island, there was A&W restaurant, right? There was Nathan's in Staten Island, right? In the mall, Staten Island Mall was Nathan's, and there was a Nathan's here and Nathan's there. We had a Nathan's when I worked in Caldor, right? Which people don't know what that is, right? But so we had like hot dogs was the main thing, hot dogs and burgers, and pizza wasn't the main thing, right? And it was only as time shifted, culture shifted.
Pizza only really became popular, I think, closer to the 80s.
Right, the late 80s is when pizza and hot dogs shifted.
Yeah.
Where everybody started to have pizzerias.
Yeah.
And the hot dogs aspect of it shrunk.
Yeah.
Right? And I've been saying this for like, I think, the past year. I mean, you can say it on Twitter about that. But now, for some twisted reason, Scott, hot dogs is coming back where, like, everybody's opening up a hot dog truck again and a hot dog stand again. Because on Facebook, I don't know if you see, but now there's all the time, like maybe it's because I like it and it just gets flooded, but even on TikTok, there's hot dog, like that's growing again like it used to be. But this is what happens. Trends.
Yeah, they come and go.
Come back. Like the records came back.
Yep.
They call them vinyl now, but records come back. But DVDs and Blu-rays are gone. They're digital now, but they'll come back too eventually, I believe. Just like CDs will come back.
Yeah.
It'll be retro. People will go back and read, and get that stuff, because I think what we're finding, especially with the video games, I was talking about this yesterday and today.
Those video game joints are also coming back too.
Yeah, but with the video games, what I was talking about on my channel was because it's digital, they could take it away from you.
Yeah.
Like
arcades are starting to come back too.
Like I was mad because I made a video the other day. I was mad because when I grew up, I played Altered Beast in the arcade.
Yeah.
Right. And then when they put Altered Beast as the flagship, one of the flagship titles of the Sega Genesis.
Yep.
It was Altered Beast and Sonic the Hedgehog's first game, right? Sonic was the mascot, but Altered Beast was one of the first games with Sonic the Hedgehog. I bought the system because I remember playing Altered Beast in the arcades. But when I got my PS4 in 2018, I remember playing Altered Beast on PS4, but it was the PS3 version, like
Yeah.
from the digital, right? Now, someone told me on my channel that they Sega removed all of that for some reason, like
Hmm.
which there's a separate trophy list for that, right? So because I was getting close to the 10,000 platinum, I was feeling nostalgic, like I wanted to go back and do some games that I grew up on,
Yeah.
but finish the platinums, right? So I remember my Altered Beast, I had to get 2 more trophies to go, and then I complete the game. There was no platinum, by the way, just trophies. And I'm like, why is it not in my library? Like, where is it? And then I was noticing, like, where the fuck are my games? That I understand I have a lot of games in my backlog,
Yeah.
right? I understand that, but
But still, you should be able to
with
find it.
all my 400 game or 300 and some odd games on my PS4, I knew that there was shit missing from my library, from my backlog. I knew it because
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no way, right? Because it's not like a Mandela effect where you could wipe it. There's
Yeah.
a trace.
Yeah.
I had the fucking game, right? Or I played the game, right? Some people were saying, well, I must have had membership and it was a stream thing or something, but that's what happened. I didn't have the physical game. I had the digital, right? Which, yes, that's it, probably. But that's fucked up that they can make a decision
Yeah.
and just fucking goodbye. And just take my fucking copy and goodbye. That's not fucking fair. I paid for it. I don't fucking agree with that, right? This happened before I bought Master. There was a game called Master Cube, and the reason why I love it is because it has super ultra rare trophies in there, right? That's the highest trophy you can get. It's like a rare super. It's like an ultra rare trophy, right? So,
Yeah.
like, I every now and then I go to do that. When I noticed that they tried to charge me for it after I bought it already, and I'm not one that usually does that. I don't go back and buy it again
Yeah.
because that's fucked up. I shouldn't have to, but I did for this game, right? Because I'm like, I love this game. It wasn't a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. It was like $2.49, but I bought it when it was more than that, and that's fucked up. I shouldn't have to pay twice for that fucking game. That's fucked up, honestly. So I bought it, but I couldn't even rebuy the Altered Beast thing because it didn't exist. And then someone said in the
Damn.
comment section that Sega removed all their shit because they made a video game called Sega Classics Genesis / Master System, which I bought,
Yeah.
right? But it has a completely different trophy list. There is no trophy list. The trophies that were for Altered Beast is not in that. It's a completely different thing. Just like my God of War 3 trophy list is different from PS3 because the PS4 is the remastered, right? And yes, they did remaster it for PS3, I think, but it's a different trophy list. So, like, I was just talking to my son Anthony, and I'm like, I was like, do you guys still have the PS3s? I got yous, because I had some games that I had that were mine but I wasn't really a gamer. I gave up on it. Like,
Yeah.
but I bought it so they could play it, but like that was like my favorite shit, like Pac-Man. There was Pac-Man Championship Edition, the first Pac-Man Championship Edition, I think, and God of War. But those are when trophies first started, but you didn't really know. So because I got the 10,000 platinum and getting near it, I'm like, I kind of want to go back and do those. So I asked Anthony. I said, um, maybe when you come one weekend, I said, bring the PS3 so I could log into it and finish these games. Like, I'll borrow their PS3 so I could basically go on my name, on my account, and just
Yeah.
finish those trophies because I want to be a completionist. I kind of want those PS3 games cleared from my record, like meaning that they were unfinished. I don't want to have them incomplete. I kind of want to go back and do them. So, Anthony's gonna not tomorrow, but he's coming tomorrow, but he's going to look and see. Otherwise, eventually I'll buy it's gonna be very expensive, but I'll buy a PS3 for myself, and then I'll have to go into Manhattan, then I'll have to rebuy those games, which is gonna
Yeah.
be a fortune, mind you, but that's what I did that time when I moved a long time ago, and the person that I was paying to hold my stuff sold my stuff.
What a
Sold,
douche.
yeah, I know. He sold my fucking video games, and I had a heart attack. And he sold my Mike Tyson's Punch Out, everything. And I was working in the medical office at the time as office manager of Vascular Epicenter, and I was traveling into the city every day. So with my salary, I would buy a game a week, and I had to spend like over fucking $60, I think, for Mike Tyson's Punch Out again, like buying it. Now, one of the games I wanted to buy that I never bought, Godzilla, the PS4, is like $400 to $500 now, just to buy that for PS4.
Damn.
$400 to $500 right now. And I still said, because I remember I was going to buy it, and then Joe was like, "Dad, don't buy it. It sucks or whatever." But I was a Godzilla fan, so I wanted it, and I had it in my fucking hand in GameStop, and I didn't buy it. And now it went to Monumental. It's rare, so I regret not buying it. And I said to myself, I don't give a fuck. At some point in time, I'm gonna go in the city. I'm gonna buy that fucking game for $400, $500. I don't fucking care. Just don't fucking care. Like, I'm gonna do it. So eventually, I am gonna do that. And I also said too, like, I wanted to buy a Vita, because I always said, in order for me to totally become number one, I need to utilize not only every region, right, but every aspect that has a trophy, right? So yes, I'm number 5 in America, and I'm 46th in the world, or 45th, or whatever. But to me, besides having an account in North America, Asia, Japan, Europe, and having a PS4 and a PS5 now, in order to really be able to enter every single aspect for every single trophy, I need a PS3 and I need a Vita, because then I would get games for PS3 and I would get all trophies for that, and then I would get a Vita, because my competition has Vita Platinums, PS3 Platinums, and just imagine, just think about it. You're opening up a new world. Like, you're basically a whole new library of games for me to choose from. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the way I think about it. It's like, I don't have one PlayStation 3 Platinum, but the moment I get a PS3,
Yeah.
I'm buying every goddamn PS3 game there is. Like, to just, So that will start that shit. Same thing like the Vita. And again, they stop. There's not like a limitless amount of games. When PS Vita with the handheld PlayStation, when that was out, they had a set amount of games, but then they were done, so they stopped making games. So it's not like I'll be buying games forever. If there's 400, 500 games, all right. But again, with the book thing, I need to put a book out.
Yeah.
I need to do book signings. I need to make money again with the books. And I need, and I've been upping my gaming budget. And I need, and again, I've been spending ridiculous amount for games. And I'm doing it, but I'm bored. Now I want to do my books again. And I'm in this mood of the past. Like, so it's related. Everything's related. It's the craving of writing about the past that I always intended to write that book.
Because 2-1, I know what's happening. You're seeing things that's sparking ideas for said book. And because you're working on one aspect, I want to work on this, but I've got to get this over here done.
Well, the book, to be fair, the book is done.
Yeah.
The book's been done since 2000.
I know. I'm just saying.
But I would tweak it. Like, I would add shit to it.
Yeah.
That's
what I'm talking.
Like little things that meant shit to me, like I was talking about hot dogs and fucking and the big wheels. I would add shit to it that if it wasn't added already, like to make it bigger, But it's all related. It's like now, besides, you know, working on the book, I want to recapture my childhood or my teenage years or my 20s or my whatever, my early 20s when there was the PS3 and I gave up being gamer. Like I basically
Yeah.
had the PS2 and then I sort of gave up. And then yeah, I got them the PS3 and I played with them once in a while, but I wasn't like what I considered a gamer then. I was kind
Yeah.
of just I
You
was
just did
done.
this.
I gave it up for 22 years. Yes, I played them in Street Fighter. Yes, Street Fighter Turbo and all that stuff. And yes, I played a Dark Souls for the first time and I got a couple of trophies. And oh, like this is cool. But like I didn't get into it because I was focused on being a dad, you know?
Mhm.
But I did like that shit. And there was like those few games that there was a Spider-Man game, there was a trophy, there was Pac-Man, there was God of War, and I liked God of War because God of War reminded me of Devil May Cry, like that style. I think Devil May Cry was before God of War, so it's just now I'm in this nostalgic mood. Besides the fact that I was on my friend's podcast, the Nostalgia Pod Blast, we were talking about. Do you remember Alice?
Yeah.
With the diner, Mel's
Yeah.
Diner and
Yeah.
stuff.
I used to watch
We were
religious.
talking about stuff from the 70s and 80s, and I was a guest on their show. But I've been, like I've been talking about hot dogs. I've been talking about A&W. I've been craving Nathan's for the fucking past couple of weeks, and there's nothing around. I have to go into the city to get it, right? So I'm like, just like, and my health hasn't been great, so I haven't been able to like travel that distance
Yeah.
yet, but I'm trying to get better, right? Just like the podcast, like I'm so surprised the other night when we did the Everything Show that I was able to last 4 hours doing that podcast because usually with my levels, like me needing
Yeah.
sugar or something, I would be, I start get lightheaded or whatever and have to take a break or have to, you talk for 5 minutes, I gobble down something, but I was completely good. So maybe my health is improving that way. But yeah, it's just the nostalgia aspect of it. I mean, how about you? Like, what was your childhood like with your in the 70s and 80s? What'd you like to do? What'd you like to eat?
Oh, good. Pretty much anything. I basically grew up between, um, let's see, Fairview Heights and Bettendorf. That was Iowa, and Fairview Heights, Illinois. Because I lived in Owensboro, Kentucky for 2 years, and what I remember the most is there was an old train depot. They had converted into a pizza joint, and they called it Union Station. And I don't know if I'm remembering it right or what, but I remember there was like these. You know how in school you had those when they brought out the film projector, you'd have
Yes.
the screens. They had something similar there, but if I'm remembering right, they had the whole like Keystone Cop stuff going, running back and forth.
We had that in my elementary school. We had the librarian, we had a
Yeah,
library, and they had the projector that I used to love that when they used to play
yeah, and
movies on the
that's
projector
like
on
I
the
said. I
screen.
don't know if I'm remembering it right, but I do remember like it was like the keys, old silent film things going back in the forth. But the one thing I remember the most is that there was because I only lived in Owensboro for 2 years, and one of the Halloweens I'm sitting there, so I'm like around between like 6 and 8 years old.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm an old cuss and I don't care. But no, it was like I was between 6 and 8 years old, and this guy dressed up like I guess it was Dracula was constantly walking by. It just happened to walk by, and I'm pretty much like him because when you're around 6 and 8 year old, the only vampires you know are Bella Lugosi and I forget
Right.
the other actor who played him at the time. And he just, I think after the second or third time I did that, he just looked and smiled at me like, I don't care if you smile at me, dude. I'm keeping my eyes trained on you. And then when I was living in Bettendorf, 1/4 of the Quad Cities. I want to say it was my 10th birthday, 9th birthday, 10th or 9th birthday. I forget which, but it snowed like you wouldn't believe.
Oh it was it on my birthday. I was supposed to have a birthday party February 12th, and there was a blizzard
Yeah,
on my birthday where no one could come.
yeah.
I
But no, I
remember
had to
that.
have
I
my
hated
birthday
that.
on. This was just for what they did. Parents did. They did like I had to have my birthday on practically 3 days, and there was this the old remote control toy called Tobor, where you had a little controller you clicked and it did this. That was like one of my gifts. Yeah, and then it's pretty much and then I got done finish off my high school era in Bartlesville, which is north of us.
Hmm.
But yeah, there's a few things.
I remember when I was a kid, my mom had a birthday party for me where all my classmates came to my house, and we were playing Nintendo Entertainment System, and I was playing Super Mario Brothers, and and then we had pizza everywhere. It was one of the greatest birthday parties when I was a kid. But it was all video games, of course. It's always
I
video
remember when I
games.
got the 2600. I really do. What I did is
Pitfall was the best.
Yeah. Oh, I've got both of them. I think I got 3 of them actually. But no, what I do is I'd tear the paper just right so I could see what it is.
Yeah.
But yet, if anybody looked at it, you couldn't tell.
You want to see something cool? I had bought, and I brought it in here because this was supposed to be when Anthony built this desk and everything. It's like this, but then it's like this. So I always envisioned having my own like kind of studio where it was like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like Avengers movie. Where remember the first Avengers, Nick Fury had a monitor here, a monitor there, and a monitor. All 3, right? All 3, right? Yeah, it was like it was 3 monitors, right? So I always told them I wanted to do my gaming here, right? But I wanted to have my laptop, a system here, and a system there. But of course, I didn't do it that way because Sharon's like, not in my bedroom. You know, I'll be up all night. So I'm like, okay. So I settled for the living room. But I actually brought this into. This into here because I'm not technologically savvy, right? So I kind of wanted Anthony and Joe when they come over on the weekend every now and then. I wanted them to see if they could hook up this Atari.
Yeah.
And in the video game store in Manhattan, there was a system that was playing Super Nintendo games and Nintendo games, right?
Yeah.
It was a thing, and I bought it, and to play my Nintendo games and Super Nintendo games, but I was buying them back, right?
Yeah.
So I wanna hook up the Atari 2600, right? Or get a thing for an emulator to play the old school stuff, right? Because there's no trophy list, but like I want to play my Atari 2600, my Atari 5200. I want to play my Commodore 64, and I want to play my Nintendo and Super Nintendo in here, like, and my PlayStation's out there.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see with this. I have a monitor here that I've never used. That was a gift. Like my boss gave it to me when the company shut down. He gave me a monitor, and I wanted to, hook up the old school. I mean, I even had the channel selector, like here. It's right here, and be like, all right, this is Atari, this is Nintendo, this, you know what I'm saying? Remember those old school stuff? So I have that. I also have a Blu-ray player right here, a little Sony one. So I kind of wanted to see if the kids could hook up so I could play my old school. I've been watching people doing videos of playing Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
Yeah.
And I want to play freaking Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Now, on the Switch, I bought the Punch-Out was in the arcade before it came out, before there was a Nintendo system. It was in the arcade, and then Mike Tyson's Punch Out was their debut game for. In the arcade, I'll give you a hint. When you played in the arcade, it was like body blow, body blow, body blow, body blow.
Yeah, like I said, I forget. Yeah. I think I played it, but I don't remember.
Right. Well, it was that, and then they adapted it as Mike Tyson's Punch Out, and then they lost the license, and they just made another version of that, and then there was like a couple Punch Outs. But I see people playing that. So on the Switch, they don't have Mike Tyson's Punch Out. They're not allowed anymore. But I have it, the actual one, and I want to play it on here. So that's the goal. Is I kind of want, because I'm in this nostalgic mood, I want the kids to hook up my command center. They're not kids. They're 20.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
You know, Anthony is 25 and Joe's 27. So I want my kids to hook up my shit so I can play it here. And if there was a way I could stream it, I would love to be playing Maximum Carnage.
Yeah.
Which is like a Final Fight Double Dragon type where you're Spider-Man and you're Venom. Like, I love that. That's like one of my favorite games. I want to play it here, you know, and then eventually get a new computer and whatever. But, you know,
I do remember there was a game that I keep thinking came out in the 80s, but came out in the 90s. It was called Time Traveler.
Right.
And it was a
holographic. It was in the arcade.
Yeah, it was an arcade. It was one of those big holographic things where you play as a cowboy.
And it was more expensive than the other arcades, by the way.
Yeah. I know the first time, I still remember this. I went to play it for the first time. And there was a kid standing on one of my two sides. And he was just amazed. I mean, I was playing it like it was the first, like I played it as though this was not the first time. I just seemed to be able to pick it up real quick. And I know I didn't make it to the end. I forget how far I got. But there was another time. I know this is
wait. Let me screen share it first.
Yep.
Because I got it. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just
it's all right.
I want to show it before we talk on the next subject.
Yep.
So in the arcade,
yep.
Time Traveler, right? This was the screenshot.
Yep. That was it.
Yep. I know because I played it. I remember the games were $0.25, but this was like $1.
Yeah, it was like $1.75. Yeah, I agree.
Right, $1 or 50 cents, whatever. But yeah, it was. I remember playing this, and I was not good at it actually.
Don't ask me how, but I was.
That was it. Was Sega. It was Sega. Yeah.
Yeah, don't ask me how, but I started playing that thing, and I very rarely died in that thing. So.
I was terrible at it, to tell you the truth. And you know what it was like? It was like Dragon's Lair.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of. Yeah.
I was terrible, completely terrible.
I did try to play Dragon's Lair in the arcade, and let's just say I was not that good.
I was awful at that game. So, but I still played it, but I was awful at it. So,
but I forget where I was. This is not a video game. This was a pinball machine. I forget where I was, but I was playing this one pinball machine, and don't ask me how I managed to get 2 or 3 balls going on at the same all at once. And it's like, and once again, it's one of those, I had like 1 or 2 kids beside me just in awe how I managed to do it. But
I just want to show you Staten Island stuff, if I could. So growing up, my parents we lived in Staten Island, right?
Yeah.
My father got his whole family to come to Staten Island to move from Brooklyn, because they all lived in Brooklyn, right? So my grandparents, my aunts, all moving to Staten Island, and by the beach there was like, they sort of had houses like bungalows or whatever.
Yeah.
Like small, like houses where it's 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms, but it was it wasn't that big, right? And it was back then, you didn't have to worry about hurricanes and shit like that. It was just like, always beautiful weather out there and everything. So they came and had that, their house. And on the weekend, my father would take, well, when I was a kid, we'd go there all the time, but on the weekend mostly, like he would have us sleep over at my grandparents, so him and my mother could have time alone,
Hmm.
like just whatever. And me and my sister would stay with my grandparents on the weekend, and they used to always, because I was a gamer, they always took me to the amusement park by the beach, which was South Beach Amusement Park, right? So picture like you go down this street and there's this whole South Beach Amusement Park where they had kiddie rides and an arcade, right?
Yeah.
And so there was an arcade. There was a pizza. I think the pizzeria arcade connected to the thing, and wrapped around the back was also the bigger rides, like a helicopter ride, a little roller coaster type, or whatever. And then they had the kiddie rides in the front, but they had like two or three big rides in the back, and in the middle was like the arcade. Across the street was pure arcade. Two different companies, by the way,
Hmm.
but using this area by the beach where everybody flocked to, that was like the hot part of Staten Island, right? That this was an arcade, and that arcade had two different things. They had the bumper cars, which the other one didn't have, obviously,
Yeah.
and I loved that. And they had a haunted house.
Oh, cool.
And in this arcade, they had the hot dog guy had the hot dog stand, right? So I would have hot dogs and root beer, which is soda, but not
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a soda. So
Oh,
that's and of course back in the day, like the 70s, 80s, everybody paired root beer with hot dogs. That was like the whole thing because it was an A&W root beer restaurant.
I don't
So
remember if they did that wherever I live. I do
yeah, root
remember
beer
A
floats.
and W. Yeah.
So there was A&Ws everywhere in America.
And
And
they
there
were
was
so much
also
better. They were so, and the interior was so much better than they
right.
are today. They're just so
And
white.
there was also okay, this was from back in the day, but my time period they would come out on skates. So the waitress was professional skater,
That's the way it was with Sonic initially. I remember, and
right?
then
And she was able to skate to the cars perfectly without dropping it, and they put the tray on the
hmm
window
yep,
because before
hmm
that they had drive-in theaters.
yep.
Before my time, they had drive-in theaters. My father told me they would just do that.
I was only
So
at a drive-in theater maybe once or twice in my life.
right, and the windows were strong enough where it wouldn't
Yeah,
break. Nowadays, everything's fragile and shit, but you would never be able to put that on your window now. But back then, you had the roll-up
yeah.
windows, right? It was like rolling it up. There's no electronic, right? And rolling it down. So you would put that on the window, and you would eat in your car, not in the plate. You would eat in your car
Yep.
and just chill
Yep.
in the parking lot, eating your shit. And like this was all around, this area, like Highland Boulevard had A&W, but by the beach they had all kinds of stuff. And when sometimes they had the carnival by the boardwalk, and they would have the big rides that you would go. I remember being in this centrifugal force thing, like where we just had to go against the wall, and
Yeah.
I spinned around so much I almost
I don't.
threw
I
up.
can't remember if I ever did one of those or not.
I remember I hated it, and I almost threw up. I was so sick, and then like I never want to do rides like that again. But we did do that when I went to Disney.
Oh, I
Not
can't remember
Disney.
the
Was it
first or
Disney
second time.
or Great Adventure? It might have been Great Adventure. I did like
I
that one.
forget if it was the first or second time we'd gone there, but it was. I believe it was. Yeah, I believe it was at SeaWorld. I was once again. It was one of those. I was young, and I'd forgotten there was glass between me and the animals outside within. The
Right.
shark comes up and bops the glass when I was standing there, and you thought you would have to peel me from the ceiling. It startled me that much.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. I loved growing up too. Like Well, let me
I
show
got to go to, like I said.
Let me screen share this
I got
while
to actually go. I went to like SeaWorld and Walt Disney World when it was still good, and it didn't have all this stuff that's going on now.
we're gonna get into that because I'm gonna talk about my stuff too. But let me just screen share while we're still talking about the amusement park. So this was a picture from the '60s, all right?
Okay.
So can you see that? Or I don't know if you.
Yeah, I can see it.
Could I make this bigger or? Hold on. Okay. So here, this was what it looked like in the '60s, right? But I'm from the '70s and '80s, so this was, you see the arrow where I'm in? It says Playland. This was the art. Okay, there used to be penny arcades, but then my time there was actual arcades, right? And they have skee ball and shit right here, and this was the merry-go-round, and they had all these rides around, and then wrapped around was the big rides over there during my time period. I don't know if they have any more pictures. Let me see. I'm trying to look at the old school Staten Island, but they don't. All right, so they don't have any more. Let me stop staring at it. But and then across the street the other way was the arcades, just arcades with the haunted house and the bumper cars. But back in the day, when I was a kid, when I'm talking, I think I was, let me remember. I was 19, I think, right? So at age 19, so here's the thing. When I was a kid, when I first wanted to go to, I wanted to go to work when I was a kid, like at 16, but my father would not allow it, right? And my friends were going to work at age 16, but my father was like, absolutely not, because that's going to distract you and you're not going to do good in school. And to me, education was everything, right?
Yeah.
So my father forbid me to go to work at age 16, right? I was only allowed to go to work for the first time after I graduated high school, right? Because it was a thing where, I would go to college following, like if I was going to, but I didn't want to go to college at first because I was like, I wanted to take a break. So my father was like, all right, you want to go to work? Now you can go to work because you're gonna be a bum, and I want you to learn. I don't want you to be lazy. So you need to go to the workforce. So especially if you're not going to go to college the first year, right? So I saw my friends were going to work and they would tell me horror stories, like they hated their jobs, right? That they were like, my father made me get this job here. I fucking hate it, right? And I'm like, almost like, well, shit. I don't want to be like them because they're fucking. We would play video games.
Yeah.
And together, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take this Mega Man guy. You take this guy. I'll take this guy. Or we'll play Resident Evil. We'll play whatever. And they would like be fucking miserable, right? Like I'm talking fucking miserable. And I'm like, you know what? If I'm gonna go to work for the first time, I'm gonna be smart about it, right? I'm gonna go work where I want to work. Not necessarily just get a job to get a job. Yeah. Because I want to do something that would make me happy, right? So I had applied a lot of different places because my father wanted me to apply everywhere. And of course I applied. But what I did was places that I wanted to work, right? I would go all the time like a customer.
Yeah.
And they got to see me so much that I was a regular customer and they knew me by my first name basis, right? So I applied for the toy store that I would go all the time, right? And what happened was they fired this guy right? And because I'm never left them alone, I'm just fucking like annoying fucking kid, right? Want a job, want a job, want a job. Showed up. They know I'm a customer too. Whatever. They're like, all right, here's the applications here. He fucking applies every goddamn fucking week. Just enough. Just hire him already, right? So I worked in a toy store, my first job, right? And of course, I'm a collector of toys, so that was my thing. So, and then of course I got promoted to be the video game. Um, I had my own key. I you know, like we had to have tickets. And you want this video game, okay? So like I fucking loved that shit. Like I just and then I got promoted for the first time and became like a floor supervisor. But as I was getting promoted, like I got promoted, the company went out of business, like going out of business. And I remember just fucking got promoted, right? And I'm like, what? I go into my store and no one's on the sales floor except for like just a bare minimum, right?
Yeah.
But that's unheard of. So I'm like, even in the bike department, no one was there. And
Yeah.
where the fuck is everybody? And I remember going in the break room, and everyone's in the break room, right? And they're looking at the newspaper, just like sitting there. And I'm like, because my managers was always like, you can't sit around, you can't, no goofing off, no in the break room if it's not your break. But this is a whole new element, and I'm like, what's going on? It was like, I was in shock because it was always like work.
Yeah.
Okay, you have a 15-minute break. Okay. And on my 15-minute break, I would go to the pizzeria, get 2 slices,
Yeah.
3 Snapples, eat it, gobble it down, and go back to work, right? Didn't have more than 15-minute break. So I was, so why is like the biggest work ethic staff that manages and everything just done? They're done. They're like fuck it attitude, right? So I'm like, I didn't understand what's going on. They're like, it's over. I'm like, what's over? It's fucking over. And I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, man, we're looking up jobs. You want to sit down? Like, yeah, you're on the clock, but fuck it. We're going to be out of jobs soon. And I'm like, what? And I was like, because this is my first job. So I'm like, wait, I'm going to be out of a job. What the fuck? But they were telling me how like the company just fucking no notice, no nothing. The people going to come in. It was so fucked up, honestly, that like they just fuck the people, fuck the workers, fuck everything. Now they had some guy coming in and putting signs up everywhere, 10% off, 20% off, 30% off, whatever. And it really fucking sucked. And then another toy store bought the one I was at. And then I went to work there for a little bit. But I wound up working in the very amusement park that I used to go to when I was a kid. I chose that actually because my friends from high school worked there. So I was like, oh, I want to work there too. And I grew up in that whole area. So I'm like, absolutely. And I think I knew this one and this one and this one and whatever, and this guy's father and everything. So when and also what happened was I needed a job temporarily, not permanently, because but me and my friends had decided, my father allowed me to go, and me and my friends were going to go on a vacation by ourselves, which was shocking that my father was very strict that he allowed it, but he wanted me to be a man, so he allowed me and my friends to go to Florida, and we stayed with my friend's grandfather in his place, and we went to Disney. Well, we went to Disney and everything. So I had to save up. So I worked in that place, in that very arcade that I played as a kid. Like, well, I wasn't really okay. So in that place, I played in the arcades, but I wasn't really mostly playing arcades in that place. It was the one across the street.
Yeah.
Like, that was my favorite. But this was my favorite when I was a kid on the rides. So I worked in that place, and I had to save up to go away. And I remember that they had to train me to operate the rides, and not only train me, but there was one ride that I'm talking deep training. You know what it was? I had to learn how to jump on top of a moving merry-go-round.
Ugh.
So in other words, while the thing is going full speed, right? They had to train me to be able to jump on and hit the switch when it was time for it to go and jump off without killing myself. And again, mind you, there's nobody in this world that knows how to do that unless you're trained. So you would have to do it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
When they trained me, I was falling all over the fucking place. I went fucking flying. I'm literally into the fucking fence. I bloodied my knees. I was fucking horrible. And they had to train me for a fucking week to do that, right? So literally, at the fastest speed, I had to learn how to jump. Like a video game, like almost me being in a video game, but me jumping, right? On moving fucking platforms like fucking the characters, right? So I had to jump. I had to learn how to jump on the merry-go-round. And I got fucking fucked up. I mean, I hurt. But I learned it eventually, all right? And then also, I had to dress up like characters for parties. So this is where it becomes funny. I had to dress up like Barney the dinosaur.
Oh
right?
no.
So kids would pull my fucking tail. And I would get fucking mad because it would hurt. Right? And they would beat the shit out of me. Kids would beat the shit out of me, right? And then I had to dress up like Power Rangers because at the time Power Rangers in 1993 was starting, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, right? So I was a Power Ranger, right? And I had to do it's Morphin time. I had to do the whole fucking thing.
Oh God.
Watch this show. Right. So I was watching the show, and then I actually had to, like train, like to do like what they fucking did. Yeah. So like I was a fucking Power Ranger, right? Not like on the show, but
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
But I'm saying I was a motherfucking Power Ranger. Wait, what? Who is that? Who the fuck is that?
I know. Probably some douchebag.
So I was a Power Ranger, right? No. You're not going to get me off YouTube. How about go fuck yourself? Asshole. I was a Power Ranger. So I was like, it's Morphin time.
Do the whole that garbage.
I had to do the whole fucking thing. And from learning like all the fuck, they like had fucking shit like try to show you how to like do it, going like this and then and doing like this and doing like that. Like it was like this and it was like whatever. Yeah. So this is like also too like mind you, I used to see the Karate Kid and shit. So I wanted to fucking be a Karate Kid. I want to learn martial arts. My father's like, absolutely not. You're not kicking my ass. I kick your ass. You're not kicking my ass. I don't want you being a black belt because I don't want you to beat me up. So no fucking way. Like I beat you up. You don't beat me up. So my father did not want me to become a Karate Kid, literally, right? Literally. But Power Ranger that was as close to being a Karate Kid as possible. So I would have to do that, and kids would beat the shit out of me, mind you, So I made this little. I made $4. I think it was minimum wage was $4.25, and I made under that because it was like off the books or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to go on vacation, and I saved every goddamn check there was for months and months and months and months, and I went to Florida, but like. I never that job was just for saving up for a vacation. And again, I was a Power Ranger and I was all into that. And when I came back from Florida, I worked with toys again. And I ran the toy department, but overnight, like I set up the end caps, and of course,
Yeah.
I was building Power Ranger end caps because Power Rangers was the popular thing. So I had the Megazords on there and everything. And even in the pizzerias were selling the Power Rangers. They were expensive, they were rare. So Power Rangers was everything. I was building end caps of Power Rangers. I was promoting Power Rangers. Months before that, I was a Power Ranger on the amusement park, and even in the pizzerias. Power Rangers was everything. Everything. I think it was 1993, right? Around 1993, 1990, whatever. Power Rangers was in. Biggest fucking thing on Channel 5, Fox, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And I watched it too, because, around my time period. But I worked in a department store for years. And then I kept sticking with what I liked. So I liked working in the toy industry, you know. I also loved pets, you know. And growing up, when I was in around high school, we had a dog. So um, I loved animals, and I loved when we used to go to the Staten Island Zoo, and we used to go. This ties in what you were talking about with animals. We had Masters department store in Staten Island, and Petland was in there first. Remember Petland discounts?
I don't know if I had a Petland, but I do remember.
Right. Well, they
I
were
do
the biggest.
remember.
Petland discounts became the biggest thing at one point in time. Like it was the biggest toy store. I'm sorry, the biggest pet store. Period. And it's funny because I wound up always doing what I wanted to do related to what I wanted to do. So years later, I wound up working for Petland. Like if you remember, I don't know if I think you remember, right? Me working at
I
Petland.
I don't think Petland was.
No, but do you remember I was working at Petland or?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, and again, I remember, but I remember when it was Masters, and I remember, visiting, like, going to Masters all the time, So, um, I worked because before Petland, I worked in the pet industry, and I got promoted, and I became a district manager, and I had a whole bunch of stores, and I was a merchandiser. And then also, I actually had this whole time where I wanted a dramatic change in my life. So I decided I wanted to, because when I was a kid, my father worked in Manhattan all the time, right?
Yeah.
My father worked on Wall Street, and when my dad used to take me to work every now and then, take your kid to work day, I had such a fucking great time, you know? And I always loved the city. I fucking loved it. Like going on the ferry and the whole journey of taking the train to the ferry, eating on the ferry, walking throughout these big buildings, bigger than I was a little kid. But I
Yeah.
used to love that whole experience. I loved everything about it. And I decided I want to work there. I want to work in the city. I want to be part of working in Manhattan, in New York. Like I just want to be in there, you know. I wanted that as part of my life. Um, there was also a time, it was very interesting too. My dad could have got me working in the World Trade Center, like starting to like a business type of thing.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I did not want to work there. I don't know what it was, but I was like completely, absolutely not, right?
Yeah.
Without knowing why. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like just everything went off in my head. No
Yeah.
way. Don't know why to this day. Well, now I know why. Maybe who knows? Whatever, psychically, whatever. But did not want to work there. But anyway, I wound up. I worked in the pet industry in the city, and worked for this company that they had. We sold to celebrities too, right? So it's so weird. The guy Tony Shalhoub would come in and buy fucking food for his dog. Like, what? Lady Gaga would come in and buy fucking shit for her dog. Like whatever. And it's like, what the fuck, right? So I fucking loved it. I loved, and at the time, my girlfriend was in Brooklyn. So I actually, like this whole lifestyle, like I developed this whole lifestyle, and I met my girlfriend in Brooklyn, which I was hardly ever in Brooklyn, but I met her
Yeah.
through like a dating site or something at the time, and met her, and it was like, oh my god, it changed my life. It changed my life completely because I was in a depression for so
Yeah.
many fucking, and she was like the first girlfriend after that big thing, and I didn't even think anything was going to happen from it because I was like, there's no way, you know, dating sites work and everything. So I met her, and it changed my life completely. Now the relationship didn't last, but it gave me the courage to go out there. It gave me the courage to get out of my shell in the dating scene and to go out there and have the confidence. So and also everything was in the city, Brooklyn. I was going to Brooklyn. I was working in the city. I was coming back home to Staten Island. I was staying at my girlfriend's every now and then, and everything. And it was back and forth, back and forth. And I loved that whole time period in my life when that took place. And then eventually, like I went back to my old company, um, and worked uh, again as a district manager, but brought the knowledge that I got from the city and then tried to change my company to prepare for them to go into the city because I wanted to go back to the city,
Yeah.
right? So I kept getting the company to evolve where each store was doing great to start saving the money to go into Manhattan. That was the goal, was to, once we made it into Manhattan, the company would really take off. Like we had, I think, 7 or 8 stores already, but in Staten Island, but that was the goal, and but I did not want them to carry pets because I was like, look, the way shit is,
Yeah.
the way I've seen the way they're a mom and pop thing, but then they're building it up like a corporation, like a business. But I was like, you know what? I don't trust these people with animals.
Yeah.
From a management perspective, from a district manager perspective, from the guy that built this company up from nothing, like, and made the company evolve, I'm like, we cannot get into selling animals because that's going to cause new problems.
Yeah.
And if these guys are not trained correctly, it could mean the death of an animal. And I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want that. So I remember that they went against what I wanted. And I remember I'm like, well, if that's going to happen, I really want this monitored. Like I really want these pet companies to come, and I want them to. They need to be certified.
Yeah.
Like that was my thing.
Yeah.
With the state, with whatever, because you can't just fucking take your animals.
No, you
It's
can't.
fucking ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous, right? But I was against it, but I was like, you know what? Honestly,
But you saw a loophole, but you used a loophole in order to get.
Yeah, I said, you know what? I'm gonna be, I'll merchandise the store, but I don't have anything to do with me taking care of animals. I'm just gonna be the management, district manager, whatever. But that's your thing. You're licensed. I'm not doing any of that because I'm not licensed, right? So what happened was, in the end, like, well, right as that was going on, Hurricane Sandy then hit, and our stores were wrecked, but there was no animals where like the stores were wrecked and the animals weren't were not hurt. Like it was like fish. They had like fish and they like mostly fish and stuff like that. And I think they had parakeets, but I wanted those animals taken care of. Like I really, was like, listen, you better make sure, like, cause like, if you're not going to take care of it, I'm going to watch. I'm going to go. I went to every store every day because I wanted to make sure. I took my car all over Staten Island and I wanted to make sure. But like, when Hurricane Sandy happened, majority of the stores got destroyed. And then, I tried rebuilding some of them, but the company was just, like it was mostly damaged beyond repair. Because they just, the amount of money they lost, and then they didn't get money with the insurance company, and then it was like, they really lost a lot. And I wound up, they couldn't afford me either, by the way, because I was making too much money. And now I no longer had all the stores. So I said, look, I'll take a demotion because I believe in this company and I believed it. I said, I can get this company back to where it was before the Hurricane Sandy. And then it was a thing where, we couldn't agree with money and everything. And then, I just decided, you know what? You were there for that. I don't even need to tell you. I mean, you were there for all that. I was like, I wound up doing my book thing.
Yeah.
And I self-sustained. I paid my own salary. I basically lived off of my books, which is why, like, when everybody started bashing my stuff the past year or so, I'm like, I paid my rent with my books. I paid my rent with my books. Like, I lived I paid myself. I was self-employed doing my books for how fucking long?
Yeah.
This is why I was available to do my podcast all the time, because I paid for myself. I got independent enough where I was doing that. But, of course, I got hurt because dumbass that I was going all over Manhattan trying to get carried in the big fucking stores. And I'm carrying my briefcase around and I'm carrying my hardcovers around. And I put myself in the hospital. And I thought I was having a heart attack. No, I pulled all the muscles in my fucking chest and my back. And that was the end of me lifting. So then, of course, I had to adapt. And I decided, for whatever reason, I'm going to go into the fucking medical field. Like, hello, that's a huge change. Completely changed. And I'm like, wow.
The Galaxy Mall thing came about.
Right. So what happened was my friend had put me, my friend worked for my doctor boss because he was in the medical field. And he talked to me about coming aboard. And I'm like, no, I'm a district manager, whatever. I had the guy's number. And I talked to him, I think it was Christmas time or whatever, because it was right after Hurricane Sandy, I think when I was rebuilding the stores or something. And I talked to him around, I think, November or Christmas time. Hurricane Sandy happened in October. We'll get off soon. I know you're getting tired. I'm sorry. I'll just be quick. So I talked to him, and then I said, we'll revisit in the future, a couple months later. And what wound up happening is I wound up going all the way to Jersey, and I was just supposed to be a marketing guy to build their website.
Oops.
and just no, that's the whole thing. I was not going to be office manager. I chronicalized all this. We talked about this on podcasts. That's why these fucking idiots on the internet was trying to fucking dictate to people what we are. We have thousands of podcasts where I told everybody what I was doing. So you dumb fucks, you're idiots. So again, I had a LinkedIn, but I never updated my LinkedIn because that's what I was supposed to be, is just a fucking marketing guy and a clerk. I wasn't supposed to be any of that. And they would go to surgery and I was bored. So I was like, you know what? Besides doing the website, besides doing whatever, I fucking learned and taught myself, and I got paid for surgeries. And when the doctor saw that I took the initiative and I paid him for surgeries and I taught myself, and then I, was trying to school myself, he paid for my education to further my medical education. And I became the head manager of that. I became the office manager of that medical facility. And then the nurse that was in charge was, basically demoted. She didn't like it. And she wound up leaving. And then I had a niece, which was my tech guy. That anything with the problem with the computers, he was there. And we kept going through nurses, like medical assistants, whatever, nurse for surgery. Yeah. But I made scheduling. I booked the patients. I got approval for authorization. I got pre-authorization. I got us inclined with Blue Cross and Blue Shield, which it took me forever. But I taught myself to do all that, and I became office manager. And I was office manager for fucking years, but I never changed my LinkedIn because that fucking thing never got me any of the jobs. And these stupid motherfuckers on Twitter related to Doctor Who, these fucking idiots, just like on TikTok, they're like, oh, well, this is what this says. This is what you are. So that's what you must be. No, asshole. I didn't update it. But how many I did a whole fucking docu-series on my YouTube channel that I got. Not only was I the office manager of Vascular Epicenter, but I became the manager of the fucking mall that I was in while doing fucking Vascular Epicenter. And I did both. And I did a whole YouTube series on the fucking thing.
Yep.
I did seasons and everything. And I'm with a niece in most of the videos. And my nurses. And fucking I made a comedy out of it. Like a joke out of it. But first of all, in my own mall, you saw it. There was posters of my fucking books everywhere. We promoted my fucking shit, of course. Because I'm the manager. I'm like, I'm going to promote my books. I did book signings in Jersey. I brought it to Jersey. You know, I got books into Jersey. So, like, and the magazines did articles about my books. And then I wound up working for that magazine afterwards because I'm like, well, I want to make extra money. I'll do an article about the shoemaker. I'll do an article about the businesses. And then I got close with the dance studio because I always did articles, and then I wound up working for the dance studio, getting them clientele. So I had 5 fucking jobs. I had 5 jobs from that. The 5th job was Petland in Staten Island, while all the other jobs were in Jersey. And I did that on the weekends because during the week I was there. And then on the weekend, but then Petland sometimes wanted other days. So I wound up giving them more time. And what happened was that those jobs were ending in Jersey. And then I was going to just do Petland. But then Petland, the guy died, the owner. And everything ended. All fucking 5 jobs ended around the same fucking time.
Damn.
And I remember, like, I was also doing book signings and shit too. I was doing a new book at the time, which got delayed because it was supposed to come out in 2019, Twists of Hate. But it got delayed until 2020. This was supposed to come out in 2019. There was an article about it and everything. Yep. So, you know, I wound up saying, I just want to have a job in Staten Island and no fucking 5 jobs. Because also that was stressful too. You know that. My girlfriend hardly saw me. That was putting a strain on us. Because yes, you got to make the money, but you got to spend time with your girlfriend. Like that's fucking fucked up. So I'm glad. Look, it happened for a reason. Thank God. And I wound up just working for that one place for like almost 5 years. I can remember. So all right, I know you're getting tired, right?
A little bit, but I can hold off.
And Mongo pops in here. Mongo, that's a blast from the past. Remember Mongo?
I think so.
Mongo used to do the Real Hooligans with us. Mongo, how are you, Mongo? You hear us? I don't know if you hear us. Mongo! I know it's late, bro, but I don't want to bring you in here because we're gonna leave soon. So but I do want to do a cast. Me and Scott probably want to do a cast with you, but the Real Hooligans and everything show. So please coordinate with us because again, I want to have you back, and we're gonna start to have people. We're gonna start to have people coming back. I talked to Gloria a couple of weeks ago. Hopefully, she can come back, and other people. So it will be great to have you on the Everything Show and the Real Hooligans. So on that note, yes, good. So on that note, just a brief history. I've been feeling nostalgic lately. I wanted to do stuff from my past, and that is what is now getting me to do this book finally that took forever. Again, I'm gonna start it. Like, I'm gonna go into the city, start scouting for places, taking pictures for the cover. That's what I always start on. The book is already done basically.
Yeah.
So, and then it's a matter of setting up a contract with the publisher. I didn't like the last proposals they sent me, by the way. So, unless
I found myself, for shits and giggles sake, looking on YouTube for places like Bettendorf, Owensboro, and Fairview Heights.
But you and I shared the journey of the last book.
Oh
and
Jesus!
the problems we had with the
Oh
cover.
Jesus!
So one of the every proposal that they have, Scott, for the next book, I even talked to them on the phone. They changed the package to where they only want to allow a second draft for the cover. And as you know, the last book went through a ridiculous amounts of drafts.
God, yes.
So in other words, the contract is that if I don't agree on the cover, I think 2 covers, then I have to just choose like one of them, or like I have to go with what they say. And I will not. I'm not. No.
Knowing your luck, you probably get the guy who gave you that cut and paste thing again.
I'm a nut when it comes to the covers. I won't budge with the covers. So I'm gonna say this. They're probably watching this anyway, but I'm going to talk to my publisher on Monday. I'm gonna call them on Monday, and I'm gonna email them on the weekend tomorrow. I'm gonna talk to my advisor with my publisher, because I want a special package set up that doesn't restrict me from doing the cover. I always believed that the cover, you judge the book by my covers. By my covers. I'm not putting my fucking name in there and that's all it is. No.
Yeah.
I do it my way. And my way has always been these covers. You know that because you've been part of that journey. If they do not budge, there will be no book from them. And I don't want to leave them, but I'm not budging with that.
I don't blame you.
Sorry. So
it's your baby. So
you make a new proposal for me with what I ask for. I mean, I understand it's a lot more money, but
yeah,
I don't want to hear some bullshit that this is only 2 covers, we're done, and we're gonna do this. No. It will never get made. So I want to be unrestricted when it comes to the cover, or else there's no contract. I will not sign it. And again, this would be like a signing the contract, and then there'll be 3 payments. And again, you're talking splitting whatever it is. I mean, the last time it cost me $2,500, right? I think it's $4,000 now, maybe. So you're talking splitting $4,000 3 ways. That's a lot, okay? So if I'm going to get there to where I'm going to get the money saved up for that, right? I'm not going to do it until the book's completed, by the way. I'm just going to tweak it. But I'm not paying no fucking $4,000.
No,
if I don't have the fucking rights to the cover.
Just waste the money.
If I can't do the fucking cover the way I want, there's no deal. There's no deal. And that's the end of it. So let's hope that, I don't care if it takes the whole week, next week. Draw up the legal contract. Let's see, and then we'll go. And again, if I'm happy with it, I will sign an additional contract to guarantee they get the 15th book.
Yeah.
Within a year. I'll sign that extra step just to get this. So let's see what happens. All right. On that note, the podcast continue. The gaming continues. The books now continue. So I hope you enjoyed the Everything Show. Don't fall for cheap imitations, because the Everything Show is my show. And I never give permission for anyone to use the Everything Show or the Real Greens Cast. I may have gave out Prime U because I gave it to Sammy Carter that time, and I gave it to Louie and Jack and Connor. They want to do Prime Universe, Prime U, but I don't give anybody permission, and I've never give anybody permission to use the Everything Show. There might have been a misconception, a mistake involved, and I saw that and I flipped the fuck out, obviously, because again, I didn't give no permission. So I understand that's going to be changed, but this is the real Everything Show, the real 2,298. Again, there was a misunderstanding. I understand on them, but this is the real deal, and the podcast continue, and Scott's right here, and this is what we do. And we had a great time the other night doing 2,297 with Billy and Chris and you, so we will do it to continue. All right. Happy Saturday. Take care. Bye for now.
Ciao.